I'm very glad to welcome you to the last session of the Congress. Our session is dedicated to social media, advocacy, activism. My name is Fatouma Belarbi. I'm head of the communication department at Médecins du Monde France. Before that, I worked for other international organizations such as SOS Children's Villages, and each time in a communication position related to advocacy, with a strong link to advocacy. So I was very interested in this topic since in my everyday work, one of my main concerns is the way to raise people awareness about a specific topic. Either this topic is already covered by media, or to raise people awareness about non-really covered topics. Today, our panel is composed of activists, journalists who seek to emphasize their struggles on behalf of their communities that are merely represented by the media. They represent the generation that grew up with social media and have engaged in different forms of traditional activism also. So I'm happy to welcome today Latif Johar, who is a Baluchi activist and human rights defender. Latif is based in Canada. Sharmila Hashimi, she's an Afghan journalist and activist based in Germany. And Maryna, Hovorukhina, she's Ukrainian, head of public relations at Common Sense, which is an NGO, and she's based in Germany. Before starting our discussion, I would like to share with you a few information about the session. You can ask your questions in the chat, directly in the chat, and also just to let you know that translations are available both in French and in Spanish. Well, let me outline a bit our topic. We will discuss about social media as a tool of activism and advocacy, and sometimes with weaknesses and even some controversial aspects that we will discuss together, and also social media as a means to integrate communities into their own fight. I mean, social media as a way of empowerment. We all have witnessed how in recent years social media has evolved into an essential tool in political, social movements all around the world. Activists and international organizations were provided with many benefits thanks to social media, including possibility to reach wider audiences very quickly without any geographical barriers, and the capacity to disseminate information that is hardly represented in the media. So my first question may be to Latif. Do you see social media, Latif, as an alternative to traditional forms of activism in terms of success on the capacity to induce or foster change for people?
Hi everyone, thank you so much, Fatouma, and to everyone that organized this panel discussion and allowing me to speak. And my name is Latif Johar. I'm from Balochistan. Balochistan is a region under Pakistan's colonial control, and it has been under attack, you can say, and restricted for media and human rights organizations to report or collect data about the ongoing conflict between Balochistan's indigenous people and Pakistan central government and its military forces, and especially reporting the human rights violations and committed by the Pakistan government during these counter-insurgency, counter-freedom movement operations and policies by the Pakistan government. So um, when I started my activism, like almost 2 decades ago, without any media support, without any social media, without internet, even without even phone connection, telephone connection. We have landlines, but we didn't have phones. And so after, I believe around 2007 or 6 or 8, then we had the phone. And I'm talking about where I'm from in Balochistan, in district Awaran. There's still many areas internet is not available. So for the social media activism, technology and internet is the basic need or basic facilities for becoming a social media activist or becoming active on social media. So with Balochistan, still we don't have these facilities in many areas. If we had some areas, they're always shut down during important events or like terrible events happen in Balochistan. So for us, like in the beginning, social media was traditional activism, the only thing we did. But our traditional activism even didn't reach behind our approach or reach to the media, to the world. Even within Balochistan, within our own communities, they're living in diaspora or they're living in other countries. So we did lots of hunger strikes, lots of protests, demonstrations, shutter down strikes, and gatherings of thousands of people we brought in from different platforms, like especially the student organizations. But a few people knew the mainstream media, especially by Pakistan, was restricted and even attacked if they attempted to report. And we had some, like two print media in Balochistan. They were just distributed within Baloch society, Balochistan and Karachi. One was called like Tawar newspaper. It was shut down later by the Pakistani government. And one is Intikhab. That one was like more to sharing the news, but it takes time to reach to other people. But when we got the mobile phone, we started using only text messages to spread our word. There was no internet, no WhatsApp, nothing, only text messages to spread our word. So our programs and ask people to come and organize. So that's why, like for me, it's not alternative, and social media is a new advanced tool and more accessible for marginalized groups, for us, and to make our activism faster, make our narrative like bring the alternative narrative than the Pakistani governments have, or like Pakistani media have, or foreigners have about our struggle, about our freedom movement, about the people they're fighting. So they claim, let's say, Pakistan state claim them as terrorists, but since the social media is there, they claim they're freedom fighters. Similarly, as peaceful, Pakistan tried to blame entire Baloch movement as like a militant supporter or militants, and they've been killing people using this narrative. But since the social media, like I'm here, I'm not even supporting militants. But Pakistan claims that I'm a militant. But now I have a voice to tell the world, no, I'm not a militant. Of course, they're a militancy, that they have their own reasons. And this is how social media like made our voice faster, and give digital activism gave offer opportunities for other people they cannot do, participate in traditional media activism. So like there's
kind of first step.
So there are like lots of people, like there are different terms for this, like collectivism, meta-voicing, assertion. Like collectivism, they just go through, check and retweet and tweet, and assertion mean that people write their own posts to support. So it's like a voicing the traditional activism. Like let's say still thousands of people in Balochistan are missing. Their families are protesting in front of press clubs on roads. But we live here. We are staying in Western countries, but we still voicing them using this digital activism. That's why it's like this amplifies their voice, and this gives us chance to say what we are looking, what we are demanding. So therefore, like because we need the background of restrictions on media and traditional activity. One thing, like because our struggle is not known to the world, and also data is very important, reporting is very important. This is where states and regimes try to stop them coming out. So social media challenge that thing, and social media challenge that thing, and it's very productive for us. I'm saying from my own experience. When Pakistan was not listening, media was not reporting, it forced us to even go for hunger strike to death. So when we were doing in front of a Karachi press, it's an international press to them, lots of international media. But the only social media made it like go up, and especially Twitter. Even I'm here today because of the social media's importance and its positive use. And I'm talking today here because we all connected through social media. I remember Maryna approached me, finding me on social media for this panel discussion.
Thank you, Latif. Thank you, Latif, for these very strong words. Yes, so you mentioned a very important point, the success and the opportunity that offer social media. Maryna, as I said in the introduction, you work in an NGO. We usually connect social media to successful advocacy. Latif gave us examples, and we have witnessed around the world. We all have in mind examples that can be Me Too or Arab Spring, etc. Is it possible to measure and verify the success of social media in making concrete changes and successful advocacy? How do you assess this effectiveness of social media?
Hi, nice to meet everybody. So I'm Maryna Hovorukhina. I'm from Ukraine. I work with a human rights organization already during 13 years, and right now I'm working in an organization which is called Common Sense Communication, and this organization helps other organizations to communicate more effective, to create communication strategy, brand strategy, and common informational campaign. And when I'm going to start this question, this is a really nice question. Like as an expert in strategic communication, I would say not only that can we do it or not, we must. We must planning, when we planning any social media activity, it's important to understand how we will measure the results and what specific call to action we want our audience to respond in our key messages. For instance, we developed an informational campaign for the ratification of the Istanbul Convention. And it was almost all in social media. And our main goal was to inform people about the benefits of the convention and encourage them to sign a petition to the president urging the convention ratification. And we knew that we would measure this by the numbers of signature, and we got 25,000 signature. The other example, when, for example, I worked with foundations that assist the elderly, we organized how I envision my old age flash mob. And thanks this flash mob, we calling for donation to a nursing home. And this was also too easy measurable through the numbers of contribution. So important aspect is to think about the measurements not at the end of the campaign, but at the beginning. So it's this way we can have a much more higher chances to achieving success. That's what can I answer. Yeah. Thank you.
It's very important points that you bring, Maryna. Thank you very much. We all agree that I think social media is a big opportunity to advocate for our communities and struggles, but still nowadays some people become, let's say, skeptical of activism taking place through social media. Latif told us that it can be the first step for another form of activism. But in the other hand, gives the idea that it's a media that only or mainly spread ideas and creates the illusion of activism. And I don't know if some of you have heard this expression, slacktivism, but the idea of the risk with the use of social media for activism would be to go to this trend and to be detached actually of a struggle detached of its original cause, and it's kind of a high risk. Sharmila, do you see perils and the kind of limitations of online activism?
Thank you very much. In Fatouma, I'm, as you say, Sharmila Hashimi, a journalist from Afghanistan. Before I start to answer your question, I really want to take this moment and use this opportunity to say about because we are now sitting in a humanitarian congress and in the crisis, and also this is like advocacy for humanitarian. As in my city in Afghanistan, in Herat, is about last 4 days, more than 3,000 people killed and more than 5,000 are injured because of 3 strong earthquake, and still thousands of people lost their everything and sleeping every day on the streets. From today information, we got that 90% of the victims are women and children because they couldn't run away fast like men from homes as the earthquake there was. I use this opportunity to again show my solidarity and sympathy with the people of Afghanistan, especially in the city where I was born, and still my family and friends are living there. Thank you. And now about your questions. For me, is like the role of social media in advocacy, or even or awareness. As I'm a journalist, this is very big or general question to ask. How is the benefit of social media? How we can use it, especially as Latif said, it was nice that he always said for us, for the Balochistan or for himself. Exactly, I want to come to this point. For me also, as I come from Afghanistan, from a country that the social media is not very still very new tools on option, on opportunity to use. Still, I know that it's totally different where we use social media, in which concept, on which topics, in which way. Then the effectiveness or the usage or the beneficiary is totally different. There are in Afghanistan still the topics or concepts that we understand that is only can be done through social media. If it is very hard or risky, for example, nowadays, it's very hard and risky to go on the street in the front of the Taliban and protest, as you do it, from abroad through the social media. Many campaigns, advocacy campaigns that we did have in the last 2 years, especially in the situation that we have now with the Taliban in Afghanistan. There are most of the time the advocacy activities or the campaigns that it can be only done because we can do it through the social media. But still, I can also say about the benefit or the role, very deep role of the classic advocacy that we did have before, to go on the streets, to sit on a strike, as let us say, to make the people accountable in person, to go there and knock on the door and ask the people on shows, on gathering of people in person, to shows a very big voice. Still, this is the most effective way of advocacy. But social media in Afghanistan has, in the last 15 years, actually, in the story of Afghanistan, it's about 15 years that we use it actually very actively in Afghanistan. And still, the Facebook is the main social media channel in Afghanistan. It's also totally different from the country to country. Weight channels, as Latif said, that in Pakistan, maybe the Twitter is the most important or active social media in Afghanistan. Still, it's the Facebook, because in Afghanistan, there was no free media. All media was only one radio TV channel from the government side. For sure, we cannot. That time, even before the Taliban came to Afghanistan, we couldn't trust 100% that we can go through this media to protest or to advocate, because advocacy should be always trustable and free of charge. For the governmental media channels, it was not trustable. On the other side, there was the only private media sector, and they were not free to advocate through the private media channel, that they are only working for their own business, no matter what's going on. For sure, we didn't have lots of money to pay. And then the social media was, in some part, the only alternative to do it, to at least collect the people, to raise our voices, to show what we are doing, even through the community. Because if the people see there are only some people doing this, and in their feeling, at least in their feeling that they are doing this because of the old country, I'm also here at least to do something is better than nothing. This was a tool for us. It was very effective, and we really use this, especially now, because the diaspora, the activism inside of Afghanistan is not possible. And we are all abroad, all journalists, the activists, the advocates, the human rights activists. We are all outside, on the only connection way on networking or campaigns of advocacy go only through the stream.
Thank you very much, Sharmila, for this very important point. And you mentioned the communities. It's an open question to the three speakers. Feel free to answer. I was wondering how the advocacy led by NGOs are perceived by the communities. Which one of you wants to take the lead on that?
I can go. I can go through. Actually, before this, the problem is that now that I'm from Afghanistan. If I talk about Afghanistan, this is like a exceptional situation now in Afghanistan, because we don't have any government. We don't know who is our opposition, who is our government. Our people, or in the last 2 years, all over the world, they're escaping, and it's very like a critical situation. But still, we are trying to do somehow what we can do. But basically, the organization, like before in Afghanistan, now any like non-government organization are not active in Afghanistan. But if we talk in like a normal situation that we had before 2 years in Afghanistan, there were many organizations like civil societies, foundations, that they did lots of advocacy. This is the advocacy like in two parts. If we be more direct, the advocacy like for individual things or for special topics or for with special group of people, that was somehow done by special project, that there were people who were doing this only. But there were mostly like advocacy or like protests, mostly in Afghanistan from my age, that the last 20 years in Afghanistan we did. It was for women's rights, for Hazara rights, that they are a minority in Afghanistan, like that, about the policies, against the politicians that time, about against the corruption in Afghanistan. We did lots of this was a combination of like the civil society activists that they are in Afghanistan. That is a big group of journalists, activists, human rights activists, writers, media persons, all. That was mostly, especially from one organization idea or the concept, and then was spread. The only way to spread it and to get more idea, to get more people, was only way the social media.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sharmila. One of you mentioned the data and the importance of the data, and it makes me think that, from my perspective, is maybe one of the main weakness of social media as a tool to advocate. Since you can monitor almost everything. So this media. So I was wondering myself if social media wouldn't be the most inoffensive form of protest for regimes, because it can be controlled. Everything can be tracked and even manipulated. What's your thoughts about that, Latif or Maryna?
I can go with. I also want to touch with the international NGOs role, and I think international NGOs are like somehow fail to report what's happening in marginalized communities, as Sharmila was saying. They're a little selective and they're like biased in some areas. And if they only do, as you were saying, just data collections, some reporting. But we can see the thing missing in their reporting is the live and direct experiences of victims and their voices. They usually rely on international other big medias or the local governments or the military narrative. They're less, and for the victims, they don't have access to the technology, don't have financial resources, and it's hard to make it to those international organizations, especially United Nations is the biggest international organization focusing on these human rights violations. So it is hard to reach out to them. When you reach out to them, their requirements is much higher. It's like a corporate world. You have to, like, you can say you are a victim, but still they need some like documentation. They need some evidence. This is where the states are hiding. The states hide the evidence. The state hide, of course, social media, many states, as you were saying, consider it like inoffensive. But for those states, they are hiding, trying to hide their offensive actions in the region, but social media is exposing them. So that's why the people, the social media activists like us, we are not violent. We're peaceful, but we are trying to share the violent activities carried out by the state or non-state actors, and they are causing human rights violations. They're causing people to leave their countries. They're causing people to lose their livelihood. They're causing people to lose their kids, children, fathers, mothers. Let's say in Balochistan, thousands of people are missing, thousands are killed. This is the result of Pakistani state's oppressive or violent policies to counter insurgency there. But we are just reporting that. For us, we're peaceful. But for Pakistani state, it's not acceptable because we are showing what they are doing there. So that's why I'm my main goal with social media activism and with my main concern is we are also failed to focus on data collections, focus on being a little bit professional, because this so-called word based on professionalism. International organization, NGOs are based on professionalism. If you're not, if you don't believe in professionalism, that's your own idea, own choice. But if you go along with these organizations, we have to be a little bit professional. We have to follow what they are asking for. Still, we don't have any alternative to replace these organizations. And the thing is, no matter how we cry, how loud we cry, until these organizations don't say anything, there's no system in this world to say something about us. Mm-hmm. So these are very, very small, we can do this. If you call a person, I can example in Balochistan, thousands of people can take part in social media and they can go to protest. But when we ask about the data collections, there is very kind of loose, you can say, it's nothing there. People are not focusing on this area because Pakistan is trying to suppress the data, information, evidence. The killing a person, having his identity, having his picture, video is the evidence of Pakistan's brutalities. But Pakistan's trying to suppress that, and we are failed to collect that information, that evidence, to show these so-called international NGOs, yes, that's happening. We are not just saying it. It's happening.
Thank you, Latif, for this contribution. Maryna, would you like to add a comment?
Yeah, I also can add, yes, I agree with Latif that we really need support of international organization, especially informational support. If we are talking especially about social media, sometimes there are the only way to somehow to impact on the situation. For example, right now I'm working on informational campaign that raised the issue of Ukrainian civilians being held in captivity in Russia. There are 25,000 people currently in captivity, and there are no mechanism in the world to bring them back home. This is because the rules of war do not include the capture of civilian hostage. This is not longer war, it is clear terrorism. But these people, they have no way to request for a release. They are prison, they are vulnerable, they don't have lawyers, their family don't know where they are. But what we can do, we can tell their stories, we can make this issue politically important in Europe and in the world. We can talk about them, and this could be for a first step to bring them back home. So right now, for example, we ask people and we ask international organizations also to share the stories of these people in social media, to write a letter to the Russian embassy, to remind them all the time about these people. And I can tell you the truth, it might save their lives because many of these people currently need urgent medical help, and this help is not provided to them. And do these people know that some politicals in United Nations or in Germany are talking about them? I don't think so, but I'm really sure that it really can help to underline this situation.
Thank you very much, Maryna. I would like to focus a bit on what we have mentioned earlier, social media as something empowering for the communities. We have mentioned how NGOs were promote causes and defend communities on behalf of the affected communities. How what my questions would be is for you advocacy by NGOs accepted by these communities, and how advocacy on behalf of certain people without, if we don't involve them, how can this kind of advocacy be productive? Maybe Latif, I think you wanted to react.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's very important for other communities, other organizations to be part of a movement or of a movement or like a social media activism or like a campaign. But the thing is, I think we should focus on as being as a supporter, as amplifier of their voice, of their perspective. If we try to be the leader of their movement, if we try to be the narrative theater of their movement, or try to give our own perspective over their perspective, then I think there are many communities in the world that don't accept this. So there are like many. I can give you. I'm giving example of Balochistan because I have personal experience. I've been active for like almost 2 decades. So there are many like international activists, social media within Pakistani. They call them liberals, but many Baloch activists, many Balochistan's political parties, and also militants blame them for distorting their perspective of their national movement or beings. They say it's good to be a supporter, but they don't like it if someone try to manipulate their struggle. So when we are doing like the social media, there's you don't need a consent to like be part of a social movement. You can be joining anytime you want. It's not like an individual case. They need the consent. You have to get the sign from the committee. It's a huge area. It's free to join. Once you join a social movement, try to first educate yourself. What is the core values of this social movement? What are their demands? What is their perspective? And then you can try to follow those neutral voices, or the political party you are following their own perspective on this issue, or the social movement, human rights movement. Let's say if I belong to I'm affiliated with Human Rights Council of Balochistan. It's a neutral human rights organization focusing on both on all aspects in Balochistan, even militant activities, they're fighting for freedom, and also Pakistani government's brutalities. So if you see the words through HRCB's perspective, it's completely neutral. If someone tried to blame HRCB for siding one side, so then the HRCB never going to accept it. So this is what we need to do. This is what we need to learn first before joining, before being active on social media, given our own perspectives and ideas.
Sharmila, would you like to add something about this subject?
Actually, somehow they're related from my experience also from my country. Even here, because I am between the Afghanistan and Germany, where I'm living now. I am doing the social media activist. And somehow I do my job. Even I'm as a journalist, mostly I use the social media to reach my audience or my people, and working with my community, and also here in Germany on Europe. And I see for some topics, for some reason, as you say, along all the limitation, along all the negative side of social media, also that we know, always, even there for the classic media, for the classic advocacy system before social media campaign, was also always positive or negative sides. And now in the social media, always with the team that I work with, what we are doing, we're planning through the social media, even it's an information campaign, if it's an advocacy campaign, if it's like reaching the people or even help, there is the help campaign, is almost to see if this topic especially, still I'm in the States about the aspect, which aspect is that, is the negative side is more, the risk is more there if I go on spread it in social media, or the positive sides are stronger than the negative. There is always negative side, but at least we should be sure before we start a campaign that the positive side is stronger. For example, the first years of using the social media, that this is a start point of advocacy, that we saw the positive or negative side of the social media in Afghanistan. It was 2015. And maybe that was a very popular story that you saw in Afghanistan. Farkhonda, a very young 27 years old girl, was burned and brutally killed in Afghanistan from 100 men on the street. And then at the end, they killed her, they burned even at the end, and then they go with the car on her. And then at the first moment in all social media around Afghanistan and even around the world was through social media, the spread that she burned the Quran. That's why everyone was there to help the killer, the murderer, to kill her, because that was the negative aspect of the social media, because in the first 2 hours, everyone was like not very sad, because she burned the Quran. They said in Facebook that she burned the Quran. That's why they killed her. And after 2-3 hours, after one day, again, that was the social media to brought the other side, to give them many evidence, because someone was recording in this mosque where this girl was talking with the mullahs, this small, very short video that she was talking with mullah before they kill her, to ask him, please stop what you are doing in this mosque is not Islam, because she was a very educated girl. On this small, very short video before killing her was also again tomorrow published in all around the social media. And then again, it was the point that the people get through the social media, no, she was not, she didn't burn the Quran on they killed her in a very brutal way. That's why also through social media, through all these Facebook videos that was publishing from his, they killed him, the government could arrested more than 100 men. It means it was example of we should be very careful of the fake news. We should be also very careful of the fake accounts. We should be also careful of the very propaganda campaign through the social media, on how to use this, how to at least teach the people to check facts, or not to believe everything in social media, and before believing, check the facts. But still, I'm the mind that the positive side is, in my country, is more stronger than the many negative sides.
Yeah, many thanks, Sharmila, for this input. It's very important because one of we mentioned it in the introduction, one of the strengths of social media is the huge impact and how speed the information can be disseminated, but it's also a weakness, and we need to be very aware of that, because social media can become a tool that can turn against our struggles, because we mentioned how people can be connected very fast, and we need to check and to be very... before asking maybe our three speakers to share maybe their keynotes, something that they will keep from this session, and maybe start by sharing mine. I would like to share something that I try to keep in mind, the notion of context and framing, because as we just said, it's a very mainstream media, but it touches very different and people with very different backgrounds, and it goes very fast with ideas, slogans, images, circulate extremely it's very quick between people with very different profiles, and more social media can be, from my perspective, or already seen in some southern countries as a way for the North to keep influence in people, way of life, ideas, etc. And made me think of what has been developed in the previous panel session regarding the post-colonial agenda. And that is something that I wanted to share with you when I asked you how it's perceived. And maybe I can share something very personal. If you remember, I'm actually French Algerian. And I remember a few years ago when in Algeria we had these huge demonstrations against Bouteflika and running for his fifth term, especially against the fact that he was running through a photo frame, if you know what I'm referring to. Most of my relatives, all of my relatives were, of course, convinced that it was important to fight and to demonstrate to protect our democracy. But almost as soon as this protest started to be very present and even amplified by social media, I felt like people started becoming a bit suspicious about this movement. I say it's France behind, it's this behind, etc., etc. So that's why I was very interested in hearing you how people perceive. So that's I would say the key point that I would like personally to keep is this importance of the context and the frame while using social media. I don't know if you want to share your own keynotes, maybe Maryna.
Yes, I will be very briefly, because for me, like social media is like a scalpel, this instrument, and like you can kill people with this, or you can help them and save their lives. And but we all know that dictatorship regimes are banned social media, such as China, Iran, Russia, North Korea. And if they ban this, for me, it is the main point that social media is really valuable and help to save the democracy in the country. So that is my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Maryna. Latif?
Yeah, I think for me, from my own perspective, from my own struggle, I think social media right now is the only effective tool and platform for the marginalized group. No matter where they are from, they're fighting for their survival, they're fighting for food, they're fighting for security. Social media is the platform. We have to be using it, and we have to be careful. And because social media is always exploited, it's controlled, as our friend was saying, that it is sometimes all the time controlled by the states, because they make the rules. And social media itself, also the platforms, also for benefits, the corporate world running them. So they sometimes go with what the states say. They sometimes give information of the activists. Sometimes they shut down everything, they censor the news we share to just avoid getting rid of completely their social media platform in the country. So, and also it's a very open platform. Anyone can join, anyone can enter, and it's sometimes exploited against us. So sometimes we each other fight each other, and following the disinformation shared by the states or some mistakes we did within the movement. So the state has lots of power. They can hire thousands of people to run a campaign against the original movement. There are examples, like as I was saying first about the text messaging opportunity we had in the beginning, there was like the message groups called Voice of Baluchistan, but that same name was adopted by the current caretaker prime minister in Pakistan to use it against Baluch national movement, against Baluch human rights activists, and with the fund of a state, with the security of the military forces. And these things happen. If we're not aware, if we don't care, so also if someone is not aware, they're using or supporting, they try to not give their perspective, just share the informations. And the other thing I really focus, I really ask our fellow activists to really honestly be professional while collecting data, information. Evidence are important, and social media is alert ground and the basic ground for research for corrections. Once you find the news, then confirm it with different sources. Because the states are using this against. If we share one wrong message, one wrong picture, then they go an entire year, they're going to circulate this picture to take our genuine issues.
Delegitimates the struggle, yes. Thank you very much. Latif, Sharmila, would you like to
Yes, my last point will be still focusing on to the very important role of the social media, especially in the countries like us. We saw this like last time, the very, very young or latest example of the power of social media, how the very dictator governments afraid of social media. It shows us how important it is. Like we saw it in the last Iran revolution. In the last 2 years in Iran, we know this is Zan Zendagi Azadi woman life freedom campaign or protest, 2 years long protest of Iranian women. Always the only like option for the government was first to shut down the internet, first to shut down the mobile connection on the internet. It means it shows us more how important it can be, how it einfach make our voice louder and bigger and bigger. That's why we use it even more, like especially for my country, that maybe here in Europe, for us, it is like normal. We can easily go on the street and make a demonstrate, or we can sit on the front of the camera and do. But in the country like us, that we have dictatorship, we have tourists there, we don't have any rights. But only that even we can use the negative side of the social media in our country like a positive. For example, there are many things in Afghanistan that I cannot say from my own ID with my picture, because even it's a big problem for my family. But still, I can use our account without any photo to bring this information, to bring this topic in the community. Maybe add other people that they don't have my situation, they go through, and at least this information is there. It means through the social media, we find any way to like go ahead, to be louder and to be smarter to how to use it, and it helped us a lot.
Thank you, Sharmila. I would like to take over from you because you said something very strong about solidarity that we must show after the earthquake in Afghanistan. So I would like to express, of course, our solidarity, and we, of course, stand with Afghanistan after the victims of the earthquake and in Afghanistan, as well as all the victims in different contexts that we keep hearing about these last things. So thank you very much, Sharmila, to have raised this important event. I think we don't have many time left, and it's I don't know if there are questions in the chat. Maybe we can share. I haven't seen any in the box. Many thanks to each of you for this very interesting contributions and discussion.
Sorry, I think there is a question in the box. If you said from Muhammad, is very not wrong?
I'm sorry. Yes. So maybe I can, most of the people who are active in social media are between people who could be not professional, and they stream broadcast fake news according to their best interests. How we can control that? Example, many people posting videos about Taliban in Afghanistan showing that they are very welcomed by people. Taliban are most empathetic people since then. Sharmila, it's a question that...
Yes, actually, I think this is related to me. Thank you, Muhammad, for the question. That was a point that I pointed out before, that there is negative side of the using of social media, like many other aspects in the world of information or media. And also Latif say that sometimes their governments or they are also trying to have their own campaign, their own propaganda. It means like we say they have positive or negative side. Exactly what this is for us as a negative side of propaganda for Taliban, to show them as good. This is exactly the positive side for the Taliban. I mean, we should always focus that how we can teach or educate, at least not to teach, or to ask the people to show the people. This is also a part of advocacy. I did many times this kind of videos we have the fake news, fact check in fake news, to show the people, please, if you see something in media, social media, if the source is not approved, if you don't know the source, if it's not approved media channel, if not the person who are talking in the video, or not the people you know are work, always please try to check. The fact check, for sure, there are many ways to check about the fake news, if it's a news or fake news. But unfortunately, the problem is there. We don't say we can solve all the problems or the negative side, like propaganda or like fake accounts, fake news in the social media. But the only way we can do it to really ask the people, beside every advocacy campaign, at very big step should be to aware the people about the fake news, to aware the people about how to know or subject the fake news. That's the only thing we can do. Yeah.
And it's also an issue that's also facing traditional media. I mean, they're all being suspected.
Yes, exactly. Then the classic media, the Taliban can do anything now in the radio, TV, they can show anything they want.
I don't know if I have other questions. And it's also, yes, a responsibility of the companies that own the platform. So it's all people also, and it's private companies that must also be involved in this obligation. All right, then thank you to each of you for this very interesting discussion. I think it's time now to close this session. It was very interesting to talk about both sides, limitations and opportunities of social media in terms of advocacy. Just a few words to say that we are not only closing this session, but we are also closing the official. It's the official end of day 3, the Humanitarian Congress Berlin 2023. So I would like to thank again all speakers, chairs, and participants in Berlin and all around the world. We hope you enjoyed the different discussions and critical reflections of today and the past 2 days, and that you had the chance to take inspirations, motivations, and also hope for from this Congress. We need this hope and solidarity to face the different challenges in front of us. Thanks for coming and listening. Last words, please engage. Fill in the survey once you will receive it. Give your feedback so the organizers can further develop this Congress and keep improving it. Most sessions can be viewed online through the website. And we hope to see you back in Berlin and online for the Humanitarian Congress Berlin 2024. Thank you again.
Thank you, Fatouma, for your nice and warm moderation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharmila.
Thank you so much.